Hey, I'm Lando, and in my most recent video where I'm sampling Super Mario Bros. Right here. The jump sound. This is gonna be so much fun. I found some amazing sounds, and I wanna explore some of those sounds a little further in a longer form video. So, buckle up and let's jump into the OP1. The first sound that we're gonna explore is my favorite from that video, and it is the little buzz that happens after the death sound effect. So, sound effect, and then you hear that really nice buzz at the end. God, I love that sound. In the video, I use it as a bass because it already sounds like a bass just straight away. But I could have made it into a nice lush pad. How I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna add some distortion. I'm using it more to mellow the sound, opposed to try to make it crunchy. So this is what we sound like already. It just sounds like a lovely synth. I'm going to shape it so we have a nice long attack. And then I'm gonna shorten the decay. Now I'm gonna add a splash of reverb. Lovely. And then I'm gonna add a little tremolo to the pitch, just to give it that vintage feel. Oof. Let me show you what that sounds like in context with some other instruments. Beautiful. Okay, so that's what it would be like as a nice lush pad. Another option is I could have made it into some sort of lead. I'm gonna take the same sound, I'm gonna turn off the vibrato and reverb, and then I'll change the shape of it so it's plucky. Then I'll change it to mono and put a little bit of glide. And then I'll put some reverb back on. But I'll make it less extreme than what we had on the pad. And then just something like. Yeah, okay, and then just for fun, same sound. I'm not gonna change any of the parameters except for the effect. I'm gonna put on the cow, and I'm gonna turn it into like a talking synth-esque sound. So I'm gonna put the delay down quite a bit. Then if you just change the frequency, you can kind of change the vowel. And then if you put up the feedback a bit, you can shape the sound a little further. Okay, so let's hear what that sounds like in context. Okay, so that is the buzz. I love that sound. The other one that I wanted to explore a little further was the coin sound, this one. There's a couple things that I wanted to check out first. I wanted to zoom in on the first part of the sound effect right here. You can see it looks pretty consistent here, and then there is a pitch change here. So it gets a little more spread out. I'm going to zoom in and chop it off just before that pitch change. And then at the start, I'll have it nice and at the front here. So it sounds like a single note, and I'm gonna lower that a bunch. And then I'm gonna add the punch and try and dial it in. And then I'll add a little bit of distortion to it so that it cuts through the mix better. So this is what we're sounding like. So in context, it sounds like this. It's way too fun. Okay, we're gonna keep exploring the coin sound. So here's the original coin sound again. Something that really intrigues me. There's a bit of a flutter at the end of that note. You can hear it when it's really low. Dum, 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 dum. Now, if I play two notes, the higher note will have a quicker pulse to it. So here is the lower note. Dun, 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 dun. And then here is a higher note. Dun, 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 dun. So if you play those together, those sounds play off each other rhythmically. So it just gives the sound a lot of texture and motion. I'm going to turn it into a little bit of a pad by just slowing the attack and then speed up the decay. So it rises up and then it falls. Then I'll add a little bit of reverb to it. We just have a beautiful ambient pad. Now, here's that in context. That's a nice pad. Another way that I could use it is instead of reverb, I add distortion. Then I could add a pulse to it. So I'll add a tremolo and I'll put this amount here, which is controlling the volume according to this wave shape to 100, and then change that wave shape to a little swoop, and then change the speed to 4 so it's lining up with our kick drum. Nice. Okay, let's move on to the third and final sound that I wanted to explore a little further, and that was the fire sound effect. It's a really great sound, and what I want to do is I want to zoom in to this first chunk and then lower it a bunch and see if I can make a nice bass out of it. That's nice. I'm gonna shape it so it's a little pluckier. So here's what it's sounding like. And then in context. Like a gritty chiptune bass. Okay, one other thing I want to do with that sound is take the full version of it and then drench it in reverb. So you just get the reverb tail of it, and then add some distortion to it and add a pulse. And then I can make it mono and add a lot of glide. So we get this spooky atmospheric texture in the background. And then in context, yeah, okay. So if you want to see what I actually did with these sounds, go check out this video. And until next time, I'm Lando, and that was my Soundo. See you later.